We have a field of 9, and there's a couple of athletes that have had a decent second day of competition, most notably Saxon Panchik in lane number 5.
Well, Brandon, you said it. Saxon Panchik in the last 3 events has gone 34th, 23rd, and 14th. So hopefully he can keep that same momentum coming here.
One lane over from him in lane number 6. You got to be a little bit nutty if you're going to be good at something like this one. Why not go to one of the bigger personalities in the sport, Sean Sweeney?
The CrossFit Cowboy in the last event, he dove across the line for absolutely no reason. It was fun to watch.
And away we go on this test where 1 year ago, only one man beat the 6-minute time cap. We'll see if we can have better success here. On the top of the screen, leader's name will be highlighted in blue with the rep count showing in the number next to them. Everybody else will, the minus number, will show how many reps they are behind.
Right off the bat, Brandon, we can see those kettlebells. Each kettlebell is 203 pounds. It doesn't seem like a whole lot. Of course, it's a 406-pound deadlift, but it's the awkwardness of the size of the kettlebell that makes that so difficult.
And how about the deficit on these handstand push-ups? 14 inches they're dropping every single rep.
It's a huge deficit, and what we can see is every single one of those athletes is getting into a tight little crouch and then using hip drive to drive them up the wall, and then they finish with a quick shoulder press rather than relying on all shoulder strength.
Working through round number 2 is every single athlete in the field here in heat number 1. They're working towards rep 18 on the top of the screen. That would indicate they're through the handstand push-ups, as is the case for Sean Sweeney, and he makes his way back to those Mario bombs that are sitting a few feet in front of him.
Well, Brandon, the keys to this event: do not go to failure on the handstand push-ups. You need to avoid that failure point. Stop before you hit the failure point, kick yourself down, shake the shoulders out, and get back on the wall for handstands. And then just manage the kettlebells. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Take your time, get the work done, and again, no missed reps.
Sean Sweeney continuing to lead the way. For an update with him, we go to Mike Arsenault.
Thank you, Brandon. This event is considered to be redemption for the athletes from last year. This entire week is redemption for Sean Sweeney, who didn't make it to the games last year. He told me he's put in so much work on his handstand push-ups, especially deficit handstands, that he said 2 years ago he would have not have made the minimum work requirement for this event. And now he's leading. He also said deadlifts are his strongest movement, and he's showing that here so far in heat number 1.
He's got a really nice lead. What I'm really impressed with, Brandon, is his kick. Take a look when he kicks upside down here at how violently he snaps his hip open. He's going to kick upside down. We're looking in the center of the screen, just about to kick up. Now he's inverted. Look at how tight he gets into that little ball and then snaps the hip open and finishes with a strong press right at the end. That's great use of the big muscles in the hips rather than relying on the small muscles in the shoulders.
Sweeney continuing to lead, 3 reps ahead of Pablo Chalfun as they're working towards rep 39. That would indicate they're making their way back to the 203-pound kettlebells for the deadlifts. Second place athlete is your Latin America regional champion, Pablo Chalfun, as he is 4 reps behind. He has 8 to go in this round of 13. He will break with 4 remaining as Sean Sweeney is a rep away from getting through the deadlifts and trying to get the lockout, unable to control it. And that might open the window as Josh Bridges is starting to make a move. You see his name at the number 2 spot, 2 reps behind. There is Josh, who spoke about the redemption quality for Sean Sweeney for a couple of years ago. It's a bit of a redemption for Josh Bridges after a rough year 1 year ago. And he'll find himself in a tie for the lead with Pablo Chalfun and Sean Sweeney. Two minutes until the 6-minute time cap. This is the final portion of the 3-round couplet portion of this event.
Actually, Brandon, in this event, it pays to be a little bit shorter of an athlete because those kettlebells are so big, the handles are high enough that it turns it into a partial deadlift. The taller you are, the further you need to move them.
final 90 seconds as the leaders all working on these deadlifts. Each of those kettlebells weighs more than every athlete in this lead battle. Sweeney putting the finishing touches. 52 reps is what he's working towards until he can start on the overhead walking lunge. He's 3 reps away from it. Chalfoun is now 4 reps away. Con Porter is making a charge as well as he's tied with Chalfoun. One minute away. Sean Sweeney will be the first man to make the break to the lighter kettlebells. 53 pounds in each hand. He's got 89 feet to make the trek down the floor at the Coliseum of the Alliant Energy Center. Last year, we only had one man able to beat the time cap. We might get one, maybe more, here in our opening heat. "30 seconds for Sean Sweeney to close out. He's about halfway down the floor.
I love it. Big smile on his face.
The heat goes to Sean Sweeney, clearly one of the fan favorites here at the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games. He wasn't quite able to get to the finish line. He'll be a few segments of the floor away as he got through 11 of the 16 6-foot segments. But one of the other names we took a look at, Saxon Panchik, one of the first we'll look at here in the replays.
Well, Saxon struggled early on the handstand push-ups, just couldn't quite get into a rhythm. But it was Sean Sweeney controlling those kettlebells, knocking out the sets of 5 and 8 without a problem. But it was later in the round, in the set of 13 handstand push-ups, it was right there. Sean Sweeney could not lock out number 13, and that was a really costly penalty. But he was first to the kettlebells in that overhead position. He kept them up the entire time, working it right to the very end, and he's still happy with his result.
As he should be. He will, as will everybody else, be hit by the time cap. It's a cap plus 4, meaning 4 segments of the floor away for Sean Sweeney, as he will have the score to beat with 3 heats remaining. And if that's just heat 1 and the energy in this building, it's only going to get better from here, and it is goosebump providing inside the Coliseum here in Madison, Wisconsin. So heat 1 for the men in the books. Heat number 2 is coming up next. Welcome back to the Coliseum at the Alliant Energy Center here in Madison, Wisconsin, as we're ready for heat number 2 in men's event number 7, Fibonacci. Brandon Domain, Rob Orlando, Mike Arsenault with you. And we've talked about that just one man was able to beat the time cap in this event. He will be here in heat number 2 as we revisit last year's finale.
Individual event number 7 is Fibonacci. 5, 8, 13 of the couplet deficit handstand push-ups and double kettlebell deadlifts with a 203-pound kettlebell in each hand, Brandon. When they're finished with that couplet, they've got to march 89 feet across the floor with a 53-pound kettlebell overhead, and they've only got 6 minutes to get the work done.
Now, This year, this event is effectively around the halfway point, seeing as how this is Friday night. Last year, it was the final event where we saw the crowning of the most dominant championship performance in history, and Matt Fraser was a couple of feet away from beating the time cap, joining Logan Collins, who won this event. But, you know, he had a little bit of time to soak it in, seeing as how he won the competition by only about 200 points at the end of the weekend. We'll see Matt Fraser later, but we'll see Logan Collins, the finale event winner 1 year ago, right now here in heat number 2, as he'll be in lane number 6.
Last year, Logan Collins was the only male to complete this under the time cap, so let's see if he can do the same thing again this year.
Pretty much the same size as Logan Collins. Another athlete to keep an eye on in this one is Cody Anderson.
He took 14th in this event in 2017, and he took 4th in the muscle-ups this year. So he's got the gymnastics capability to get those handstands done.
And we are underway. The score to beat is the time cap plus 4 segments of the floor, about 24 feet away for Sean Sweeney, set in heat number 1. Through the first round of 5 handstand push-ups, it's going to be Cody Anderson getting through them first. But it's currently Dean Linder Layton with a quicker transition who will be in the lead, as his name highlighted in blue. The number 10 indicating how many reps he has completed. Everybody else will be in red with a minus number showing how far they are behind the lead.
And Brandon, the keys to this event, we need to make sure that we stay away from failure on the handstand push-ups. Kick off the wall and shake out the shoulders before you hit that failure point. And then when you get to the kettlebells for our male athletes, you need to manage fatigue and the grip. Those kettlebells are the size of basketballs, and they're really unruly. So the goal here is to try to be as smooth as possible once you pick up the kettlebells.
Logan Collins, Cody Anderson tied for the lead. There is Logan Collins, the man who took the final event 1 year ago, looking to defend that title here as we redo it in 2018 as they work towards rep number 26, which will close out the second of 3 rounds in the couplet portion of Fibonacci. Near side of the screen, Cody Anderson. Center of the screen, also in the green tank top, is Logan Collins. 1 lane above him is Dean Linder Layton in the blue tank top. They are the top 3. And it's going to be Logan Collins, the first man to advance to round number 3. 13 parallel handstand push-ups at this 14-inch deficit, and 13 more deadlifts before the overhead walking lunge. Now we've got 3 athletes, 2 similarly sized in Anderson and Collins, and then a much different build for Dean Linder Layton.
Totally different, but the movement is still the same, Brandon. The idea is to get into that tight little crouch and then use the big muscles in the hips to fire up off the wall and finish with the shoulders into that fully locked out position.
Anderson on the right side of the screen, Collins in the middle, Linder Layton on the left. About 170 pounds each for Anderson and Collins, 191 for Linder Layton. And let's get a quick check down on the floor with Mike Arsenault.
Thank you, Brandon. Talked to a number of these guys before this heat and asked them to compare how they're feeling this year to last year. Of course, it's Friday night as opposed to doing Fibonacci on Sunday afternoon. They said their shoulders feel much better, so they think the handstand push-ups will be a little bit easier because of the row marathon. The posterior chain, everything around the hips hurts a lot worse, so they think the deadlifts will be a lot harder. A number of guys said they don't think more than 3 out of the entire male competitors will finish this event in 2018.
Thanks, Mike. And that's a bold number that they're putting out there with 3 of the field of 39. But we might be on our way to clocking in at least 1 here in this heat, as we're just past the halfway point in terms of the time cap. 5 deadlifts remain for the leader, Logan Collins.
And Brandon, one of the things that I noticed, watch what Logan Collins is doing where he grabs the very front of the kettlebell handle. That allows the kettlebell to angle down. It makes that kettlebell, even if it's an inch longer, that it's lower to the floor and it shortens the deadlift. It makes it, even if it's a fraction easier, that's a great move. That's a veteran move. Two
reps to go. We got a little ahead of ourselves there on the tracker, it seems. Now one final rep. Now he's at rep number 52, and he's got a little over 2 minutes to complete the 89-foot overhead walking lunge, and he would be the only man in the world to do that twice in the 2 times we've run this event. This is still a minute ahead of the pace set by Sean Sweeney, 1 heat to go.
His position looks really good there. He's stacked up wrist above the elbow, above the shoulder, and all of that stacked above the hip. So as he takes his stride forward, he's at 90 and 90 at the knees. Perfect position, and that allows him to reduce some of the fatigue on the shoulders.
About a 40-second lead for Collins over Cody Anderson, who's now starting the lunge. Collins past the halfway point. Now he sets them down. He does have to go past the last line he crossed on the floor, as he has 7 segments of floor remaining. Cody Anderson is catching him in a hurry with bigger strides, but those bigger strides might have cost him a little bit in the energy department. Keep an eye on Dean Linder-Layton in the blue shirt. You saw him a moment ago, the biggest athlete in the field. He might have the easiest time with those kettlebells, as Collins has him back up in the air. Final 45 seconds. He has passed Sean Sweeney's mark, so the winner of this heat will be the event leader with 2 heats remaining. Anderson and Linder-Layton are not far behind Collins. And we got a bit of a race in the final 30 seconds for the lead. Collins with them back up. And your event 2 winner, 30 muscle-ups for time was no problem. Fibonacci once again, no problem for Logan Collins. He'll be the leader through heat 2. Stride for second between Linder-Layton in the blue shirt center of the screen. Cody Anderson in the green tank top, neither of them able to beat the time cap. I believe Linder-Layton might have crossed that line, but he didn't reach the platform in time. So just one thus far will be able to beat the 6-minute time cap, and why not? It's the one from a year ago, Logan Collins.
Logan Collins put on a show from the start. His handstand push-ups were perfect. The deadlifts were flawless. And if we take a really close look at those deadlifts, he was grabbing the front of that kettlebell that angles the rear end of the kettlebell down, gives himself an extra inch. It makes a huge difference. Cody Anderson made a really strong push at the tail end of the lunges. It looked like it was going to come down to the wire, but it was Logan Collins with that final push over that red line that gives him the heat win.
And he's in line to possibly defend the event title, if you will, as the Fibonacci 2017 winner is currently the Fibonacci 2018 leader and the only man thus far to beat the time cap. 5 minutes, 48 seconds. It's a cap hit for Cody Anderson. Right behind him was Dean Linder-Layton. Reddit's favorite, John Colte, in 4th. And Sean Sweeney continues to hold the 5th position from his score in heat number 1. But we've still got more action left with heat number 3 coming up next.
Day 2 of individual competition at the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games comes to a close as we are in event number 7, Fibonacci Thanks for being with us today, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland alongside Bill Grundler, and Mike Arsenault is on the competition floor. And we have our first repeat event of the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games.
But I love what it's testing. The last time we saw this, it was the final of the 2017 Reebok CrossFit Games. This time it's right smack dab in the middle. So we want to see how that's going to swap things up for all these athletes.
The men in this third of four heats are trying to find their way into the top 10. A pair of brothers on the floor and a man who is making his 10th straight individual trip to the CrossFit Games in Lane 4 is Ben Smith.
And Ben Smith, I just don't think he's had the games that he wants. He's sitting in 13th position right now. He's had two not very good finishes so far in these games, so he needs to come back and do something special in this particular event.
Noah Olson, meanwhile, is in 15th place overall. If he stayed there, it would tie for his career worst finish. This guy's got to start making a move.
He really does. But I tell you what, there's something that I've seen different about Noah is he just seems excited to be there. I mean, look at that smile. For a guy that's in the position that he's in, I think he can still pull it together. And I think we'll see something special here in this particular event.
Third of four heats in Fibonacci, the 7th event here on the second day of competition. 2 days of competition remain after this. What are the keys here to this repeat event?
Well, the first thing we have to see are those deep deficit handstand push-ups. That's 14 inches. You cannot have fails on those handstand push-ups. So manage that as much as you can. Come off way before you need to, so you can save yourself for that second set of last set of 13. And then you got to manage those big kettlebells, 203 pounds in each hand. And they're just awkward. So you have to make sure you manage those, not for any kind of injury, but then also to protect that back.
Noah Olson is on his second round of handstand push-ups. This is his round of 8. 52 reps is what they need to complete before they can take off on that lunge. And keep your eye on the top of your screen. The leader's name in the heat will be highlighted in a blue box. The number in the white box next to that man's name will indicate how many reps he has completed. All the men who have their names in the red box, the number will indicate how many repetitions they are behind the leader. And Olson right now through 18 of the 67 total repetitions in this event. And now it's 8 kettlebell deadlifts. It's Scott Panchik, who currently sits in 4th place in this heat, kicks off the wall.
And we're going to see a lot of different cat styles of getting themselves up into that lock position. If you watch Scott Panchik here, goes all the way down. Big kip. That's called a kipping handstand push-up. So he's using the mass of his legs to launch himself up into the air and throw his body up as high as he can to save those shoulders.
Panchik back to the kettlebells. 203 pounds in each hand. Has to deadlift them now 8 times. Noah Olson continues to lead this heat. The time to beat belongs to Logan Collins, who is the only man to finish this event in 2017. He did it in 5 minutes, 48.06 seconds this year.
Look at Noah Olson, very strong and fast on those handstand push-ups. What I like is that he goes down to the bottom, and that's the resting position. If you rest up here, you're using energy. So the fact that he's sitting on his head, that's good. You saw how low he brought his legs way into the front and out to the side. So we got as much range of motion with those big, heavy legs as he could.
Let's send it down to Mike Arsenault with the younger Smith, Alec.
Bill, we're talking about different kip styles. Look at Alex Smith right here. First of all, why is he doing that, and why do you think this is a more effective way to kip than what we're seeing from the other athletes?
Well, in this particular event, that is a little bit slower, but we don't have a high number of reps. So that piking position is utilizing the weight of his legs much more than just a general kip. So he's maximizing the weight, which is using as much force as possible to get his body up over those parallel handstands.
Alex Smith continues to battle Scott Panchik for second place in the heat. Noah Olson still out front. And Olson is returning to the kettlebells for the final time. 13 kettlebell deadlifts before he can take off on that 59-foot lunge down the floor here at the Alliant Energy Center.
And you can see just how close Noah's feet are. That's to deal with the awkwardness of those kettlebells. It's not your classic deadlift where you get to really utilize that posterior chain, the bars in front of your shins. You have to kind of squeeze yourself in between those kettlebells. One, so you don't smash your feet, but two, it's going to be a different deadlift. It's going to be more of a leg rather than a classic deadlift.
And Noah Olson, those sleeves around his shins are usually around his knees. That's another thing that can protect him.
You got to. It's abrasion protection at this point.
5 more reps for Noah Olson, and then he will get to take off on the 59-foot overhead walking lunge, and he will trade in those monster 203-pound kettlebells for 2 53-pound kettlebells. So Olson is done. And he will rechalk his hands and get set for the final part of this event. Noah Olson again coming in 15th place overall. Tied in points with Scott Panchik with 278, and he trails Ben Smith for 13th by 8 points. So Noah Olson looking to gain some ground here on the overall leaderboard as he is off down the floor.
And Sean, he did very well in this event last year, coming in 5th place overall, capped plus 7 reps, and he is well going to smash that here.
Olson will get credit for a rep every line he crosses. 67 total reps, and Noah Olson is chewing up real estate with every step. Olson has a minute to go before we hit Logan Collins' time to beat. A little less than a minute for Noah Olson to set the top mark heading into the 4th and final heat. He is back on the kettlebells. Nobody else is on the walking lunge.
You know, we've said it before, when this kid is confident, he is deadly, and he is extremely confident.
Noah Olson, one final lunge, and Noah Olson has the new time to beat in Fibonacci. 28 seconds to go before we hit the time tap, and 2 more men are on the walking lunge. It's Scott Panchik and Zeke Grove. Panchik is in the light blue in the middle of your screen. Zeke Grove in the dark blue at the bottom. Jared Enderton at the top of your screen is also on the walking lunge, and now Alex Smith in the pink shorts. Every repetition counts. Remember, every line they cross will count for 1 rep.
I'm getting a little worried about Scott's arms. You see how he's spreading very wide. That gets nasty.
Panchik just hangs on for all he's worth to get as many repetitions as possible, but only 1 man in that heat finishes the event, and it is Noah Olson, who's looking to move up into the top 10 in the overall standings heading into the weekend in the final 2 days of competition.
Now, Noah Olson needed this event. 2 bad events, but great here. And we start off with those handstand push-ups. And, man, look at the speed and the explosiveness of those legs for every single one of those reps of those handstand push-ups. I didn't see 1 missed rep, and he came down every time he needed to. Thought Ben Smith was having a little bit of trouble on those, moving a little bit slower. But basically, this was all Noah Olson. Look at the distance between him and the rest of the field. Arms locked out, hands together. Beautiful run down the field with those lunges. I'll tell you what, he needed this. 2 bad events so far, and he needed a good one here.
Noah Olson looking for his first top 10 event finish here at the games, and he is with Mike Arsenault.
Redemption, thy name is Noah Olson, finishing Fibonacci here on Friday night at the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games. How does your body feel doing this on Friday night compared to Sunday afternoon last year?
Much better. My body and my morale are higher. Last year, this was right after my rope climb slip up down there, so my head wasn't in the right place. Now it's been trying to be pushed into the wrong places, but I'm keeping it in the right one, so doing well.
How much work did you put on in these 2 movements, the deficit handstand push-ups, and did you get a chance to work with the heavy kettlebells over the last 12 months?
I did, yeah. My coach, Max Elhaj, runs Training Think Tank in Alpharetta, Georgia. I moved up there, and we did a ton of workouts that had different pieces of both of those, so definitely more prepared than last year.
And how did it feel doing that final lunge with the crowd building, giving you a standing ovation as you're the only 2nd person through 3 heats to finish Fibonacci?
Today has been amazing, and I know other athletes say it, but seriously, you guys are amazing. It makes such a big difference to all of us. I don't know if you guys know the story. On the last workout, I was a little frustrated down in the dumps, and as I was walking back to the athlete area, I just was greeted by fans and took pictures and met people, and it just filled me up. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Noah. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Noah Olson takes the 3rd of 4 heats 5 minutes, 22.39 seconds, the only man in heat number 3 to finish the event. The final heat of the men is coming up a little bit later. We're going to hand things off to the women as day 2 of competition rolls on here at the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games.